one of the previous episodes, we talked about how he wouldn't let the therapist in the house after a while.
Yeah.
To work with him. So, when that happened, we knew we had to be really careful because he was looking at not just the therapist, but anybody that walked into the house.
Yeah.
As a potential person that's going to make him do work he did not want to do, and would then escort them out, or
friends, family. He would just look like, okay, you're showing up. What do I have to do? What do I have to work for? And he would just melt down. Remember, he would try to like grab everybody's hand and just walk them out the door. He would literally, you could walk out the door, and he would turn around behind and literally just slam it right in your face, like, okay, get out of here now. Yeah, see you later.
So yeah, that was definitely a point in time that we had to take a step back and not let him go around other people.
Yeah.
Well, not that he couldn't go around other people, but they couldn't watch him with, and allow us to go out without him.
Because it was just too much to explain.
It wasn't worth it to,
have a regression.
Have more regressions.
We worked too hard at that point to just have something mess it up.
Yeah.
So we needed to get Grayson to a certain point before we could, have somebody babysit him or things like that and leave him.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, when you don't have time with, your significant other, regardless of why, it definitely puts a strain on your relationship. And I mean, we've got through it. We're as happy as we've ever been.
Yes, yes. But we're at a great place. Thank God.
Yeah, but I mean, it's definitely a challenge, nonetheless. It's very stressful.
Yeah. I think it's hard for a lot of dads,
and the best,
too. Yeah. It is very stressful on the fathers, and everybody always talks about the moms because they're usually the primary caregiver. And that's how it was for me and him, and I think there was a lot of stress on my end. And, I think even if your husband's working, you're kind of like, okay, well, what I'm doing here is like 5 jobs. Like, it's so much harder than your job. I have to do everything. And it was hard. It was hard explaining therapy to Sean. It was hard in situations where, like, if Grayson was having a moment and let's say Sean walked in the room, sometimes he would take a minute break from work and we would be in the middle of therapy. And I remember one time Grayson was in the hallway having a meltdown during therapy, trying to escape. And Sean came out of the bedroom, and I was the same way in the beginning until I started working every day with him and knowing what I couldn't do at that point. And Sean came out and just hugged him and was like, come here, it's okay, what's wrong? And I was like, get away from him, don't talk to him, don't hug him, do not say it's okay, it's not okay. I'm like, Grayson, get over here. Because in those moments, we have to follow through because he is looking to escape and he is looking for that compassion, and I have compassion. And when that meltdown is over, I will then comfort him. And now, even during a meltdown, I assure him that we just want to help him. Just tell us, show us, because he's nonverbal, but show us what to do and we will help you do anything.
Yeah. And I think it's difficult for both parents, regardless of whether, like I said, you're the one out working full time or you're the one that's the primary caretaker. It's just difficult in a different way. And correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, but from my perspective, it felt like it was difficult for you just going through that and having the meltdowns to deal with constantly.
Yes.
And just having him challenge you and not know what he wants all day and stuff like that, especially during that regressive period where he was having a lot of challenging behaviors and stuff. But
God, I remember that. I remember calling Sean one day right before we started biomedical treatment, and I was like, Sean, I don't know how much longer I can deal with this. Like, because I would never get frustrated with Grayson, but I would call Sean a lot to vent, and he'd be like, I'm working, I can't, and I'm like, I just need to talk to somebody. And it's hard when, in the beginning, you aren't openly talking about it. Who were you going to reach out to? And honestly, even if you were openly talking about it, who can really relate to what you're going through? Nobody fully understands. They can say they do, they can try to give you advice, but no one understands. And that's
why we're here.
I think. Yeah, because we know what that's like.
We know what that's like. We want to, communicate our feelings and what we've been through.
Absolutely.
So you know that you're not alone, and at the same time, like, this is like therapy for our own souls.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Being able to talk about our own feelings with a microphone.
Yeah, because, you know, from the beginning, like, after a little while of getting involved in our whole autism journey, I felt as though, how can I make this bigger? And it was, how can I reach more people? How can I help people get to where I am and how I got so quickly with this? And things just kind of took off from there. Like I said, I enthralled myself in the therapy, in the doctor's appointments, in the biomedical treatments, in reading, researching, everything. And then, you know, when we were trying to look for services for Grayson and we had trouble finding in-home speech,
challenges for that.
you know, I mean, I came to Sean and said, like, can we do something? Like, and we were like, okay, we have to be able to help other children. Let's start an in-home speech company of in-home services, kind of based on our own experience of our doctor saying Grayson needed in-home, all natural environment.
Yeah.
We figured if we can't find that in our area, and most of them are going to places, and a lot of these places that you go to offer also ABA or OT, and if you choose to do that, you can no longer have ABA services in your home. And we did not want to do that. We needed ABA services, and we needed it in the home, you know, doctor's orders. So we couldn't cancel services, and that's when that took off.
Yeah.
And now, you know, we have Building the Puzzle, which is like a support place for parents, and it's really taken us places we never would have thought.
Oh, definitely. And, you know, I think we grew. So, you know, during that time period, I think that as a couple, we had a lot of strain on ourselves, and I think we became a little bit distant from each other, not because we wanted to or we were pulling back, just because of, you know, all our energy was going into, you know, our major responsibilities at the time. Alex was sitting there taking care of him all day. That is completely exhausting. You know, I know that from now being able to experience it for
Thank
a
God
long
it's
time.
better. Thank God.
It's definitely better than it was. But,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and my perspective, you know, I was working full time. I was on the road traveling a lot. I mean, I'd work from home a couple days a week, but I'd also be on the road. And when I was on the road, I was usually not getting home till 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. So there were long days. You know, and when I was home, I was trying to take a little bit of pressure off of her and spend time with him so she could have a little bit of a break, you know, which obviously put more pressure on me. And, you know, I felt guilty that I wasn't around. Because then he's taking
care of a child that he's not around for therapy.
And I don't know what's going on. And,
yeah.
You know, so that could be a very stressful situation. And then, you know, obviously then the time for us as a couple.
No time.
You know, no time.
Zero time.
We had zero time. But, I mean, we tried to make
We were really good with that, though.
We tried to make it a point, though, after a couple months of that, to make sure that we had a little bit of time.
Even when you went to bed or something.
Just watch a TV show together.
Yeah. We did very
have
well
a glass of wine and sit on the deck.
Yeah.
And talk for 2 hours, you know.
Yeah.
So, like, and that kind of really rejuvenated things when that happened, when we did that. And I think that's, you know,
important.
A message for everybody out there. Make sure that no matter what, like I said earlier, the better you come into being a parent, into that situation, into those interactions with your child, the better off they're going to be.
Yeah.
You know, so that little bit of time that you spend,
they see that.
Yeah, and that's another thing. You're leading,
if you're fighting, they're frustrated.
Example. You're leading by example.
Yeah.
Which is important for any child to learn.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, now we're finally able to get some time together.
Yeah. Because now we can leave him with people, and it's great.
Yeah. And he does so well now.
He does.
He might even do better without us sometimes.
Yeah. You know, he needs a break too, I think. From, you know, he's been in quarantine. He hasn't gone out.
So he
doesn't wear a mask, and he won't.
And, wear a mask.
You know, we tried working on it, and we have been trying to work on it with therapy and stuff like that. But it's good for him, you know. And I think, you know, back to just like what Sean was saying and him working and not being around and things like that. I think that how I said, you know, we weren't going to get frustrated with Grayson. So I think we kind of started, you know, like attacking each other sometimes for just our stress that we were going through and it being all day and not having that time. We never turned it on Grayson. We kind of turned it on each other. And that's, I think, will drive a wedge. But luckily, you know, we always spoke and we always said, like, I'm not, you know, I feel distant or this or that. And we, like Sean said, always make that time for one another.
We tried to find a way to make
and honestly, we're really fortunate because
each other.
Having a special needs child can really, it will have an effect. Let's just be honest. Whether a positive, negative one, it will always have an effect on a relationship.
Oh, definitely.
So it just depends how hard you're willing to fight for that and to stay together and make time for each other. You know, a special needs child, they need two parents is really, really important. You know, things do happen and that's fine. And, you know, people grow apart. And that's fine. But I just think that it's
very important that the child has the support they need around them
and sees that.
So, yeah. I think one of the most difficult challenges I had in the beginning was not knowing where this process was going to lead.
Yeah.
You know, because you start thinking about all the possibilities, all the things that could happen. You know, thinking about the fact that I may never hear my son say "Dad" for a long time.
Which he has said it.
He has. Thank God.
Yeah. It took about like 3.5, 4 years though.
Oh my gosh, that was like the best day.
Yeah. He's like, "Dad."
Oh my gosh. But, you know, that was really hard.
Yeah.
Thinking about that. Thinking about, you know, I don't know what activities I'm going to be able to do with my son, like, you know, my father did with me, and I want to have that bond with him in that way, and all that other stuff. But what I think I've come to realize, especially over the past year, is that that stuff doesn't matter to me anymore.
No, he's showing us things that
I have
no other child would.
Yeah, I have just the most incredible relationship with him.
Yeah.
And we have such a great
He's
connection.
So affectionate.
And I love spending
Sean.
time with him.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, after all this time, I appreciate it so much more, and I look at it completely differently. And I wouldn't want it to be different. Not saying that I don't want him to.
No, we want him to
reach
do well,
his potential
but
and all,
honestly,
but I mean,
we embrace his autism.
I wouldn't have wanted to.
If somebody could say, "Could you make Grayson today neurotypical?" Would you? And I would say no. I would never change him.
So. Yeah, and, you know, I think we've got to a place where that was definitely a challenge, a different level to both of us. I mean, I think Alex had certain moments where, you know, she was worried about what's going to happen now and stuff like that, and I had those moments too, and, you know, I'm glad that we're in that place now. And no matter what you guys are going through out there, you know, just try to stay strong, connect with other autistic parents out there, so that, you know, you have the support you need, and people that can relate to you. So before we wrap this up, is there anything else you want to say, Alex?
Nope. Same thing I always say. You guys, you know, if you're just tuning in, please check out our Building the Puzzle on Instagram and Facebook. And like and subscribe to us. And if you need any support at all, post a message.
Oh yeah, definitely. We look forward to your comments and hearing from all of you.
Yes.
This has been a lot of fun.
Yes, like always.
For Building the Puzzle, one piece at a time, I'm Sean.
And I'm Alex.
Signing off.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.